Tonight, President Biden's pledging more support for Ukrainian forces after Russia launched deadly missile strikes on more than a dozen cities.
Mr. Biden is also preparing to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow with leaders of the most powerful Western nations to discuss what is next in the nearly 9-month war. CBS 2's Dick Brennan here in studio now with more. Dick?
Well, Christina Maurice, this is believed indeed to be the most widespread assault since the Russian invasion began. Ukraine saying they're targeting their energy sector and their people. The U.S. is calling the attacks sheer brutality. Protesters surrounded the Russian consulate on East 91st Street, its walls already sprayed days ago with red paint, symbolizing Ukrainian blood. And more blood was spilled in Ukraine as Russia rained down 80 missile strikes on civilians in more than a dozen cities, launching their most powerful long-range weapons in a coordinated bombardment, including multiple strikes in the capital of Kyiv.
My parents are still there.
20-year-old Anastasia Ponomarenko left Kyiv 4 months ago to escape the war and the terror outside her door.
We heard all of explosion. I was sitting in the bomb shelter. I've never been as much scared as I was scared in the first days of the war.
And look at the fear on this young woman's face today as she described one explosion when another hits. She appeared to escape serious injury, this all in retaliation for Ukraine blowing up the bridge leading from Russia to Crimea. Ukrainians want the U.S. to designate Russia a state sponsor of terror, which would mean even more sanctions.
There's a lot of people say, hey, they must have all the sanctions they possibly could have.
You would think so, but today there are more sanctions against Cuba than there are against Russia. It's way easier to deal with Russia than it is to a small country like Cuba. Is Cuba invading us? I don't think so.
Dora Komiak was in Ukraine in July.
The war is everywhere, and the response to the war is everywhere. I mean, every single person is doing something to stand their ground.
Putin is threatening more strikes, and Anastasia Ponomarenko fears for her parents back home in Kyiv.
I don't want anybody to feel this, and it's awful.
Russian allies China and India are calling for de-escalation in Ukraine. The United Nations convened an emergency session of the General Assembly over Russia's annexation of 4 sections of that country. Christine.
All right, Dick, thank you.